Hey guys, thank you for stopping by my channel today. My name is Gina, and the purpose of my channel is always there is more to life than looking good, but you've got to look good too. Today is going to be a look good video because I am going to talk about the new concealer released by Too Faced, the Born This Way multi-use sculpting concealer. I think honestly the concealers are like in competition, and like foundations also, they're in competition with each other to see how many words they can just use in the title in order to describe their product. And I can anticipate right now all of the different words of the name are going to mess me up throughout this entire video. So stay tuned for that. So I'm also going to use the Too Faced concealer, and I'm going to compare it to a couple of others like the Tarte Shape Tape to be exact, because everyone keeps saying like they are the same and that the Too Faced concealer is a dupe for the Tarte Shape Tape concealer, which I've got also right here. My response to that is, why are they a dupe? They're both a higher end, not a luxury, but they're both a higher end. They're like on the same platform. Like one is not drugstore and one is not available like at Sephora only. You know what I mean? Like, why are we even calling these a dupe? Because, okay, they're the same. Just pick the one that you like and whatever. Anyway, I don't know. That kind of bugged me. Because when I think of dupes, I think of same product but trying to save money. Or same product and trying to spend more money. Which is usually not the direction that we go. But regardless, let me get into my kind of analysis of this Too Faced Born This Way multi-use sculpting concealer. Okay, and then I'm going to begin by comparing it to the Tarte Shape Tape. So, this launch has about 20 shades, as does the Tarte Shape Tape, now that they had semi-recently added some shades to their collection, because initially their shade release was not all that great. So now both of them have about 20 shades. They are different though, interestingly enough. I find that the Too Faced line, has more options as far as a yellow undertone to your skin, whereas with the Tarte Shape Tape, I still find that it calls itself like some warmer shades of concealer, and I still feel like it pulls a little bit pink or a little bit too neutral. In the Shape Tape, I am the shade light neutral, and I find that it's still like a hair pinky in color. But that's fine. They both have, like I said, both got 20 shades. So depending on your skin tone preference or your undertone preference, that might make you make the decision between the two. Let's talk money. This guy is in a bigger bottle, which, I mean, even just next to each other, you can tell that this is bigger. I don't know why this makes me smile though. Typically I enjoy things that are in small containers or things that are tiny. This just kind of makes me smile. Maybe because I think of the foundation and I know that it's like a mini version of that. But anyway, this guy is a bigger bottle because he is a whole ½ ounce. Most concealers are like a 1/4 ounce to 1/3 of an ounce. And actually the Shape Tape is actually 0.33 ounces. This guy is 0.5 ounces. That being said, they are very close in price. $27, $29. So basically with this guy, you get about 0.28. So it's a 1/4 of an ounce. A 1/4 of an ounce? You get 0.28 more product for only about $2 difference. $2 difference, $2 difference. I was a straight A student, by the way. I get in front of the camera and I try to start talking math and I completely lose my mind. So for only a couple more dollars, you do get a fair bit more product. But at the same time, we're talking about a concealer. It typically isn't going to last you, or it is going to last you a little while at least. And so the price difference might not be enough to make you choose one over the other. Let's talk about creasing. Both of them crease. I'm so tired. I'm sorry. This is like soapbox right now. I am so tired of hearing people say, oh my God, this concealer is so great. It doesn't crease. Yeah, you know why it doesn't crease? Because you don't have creases under your eyes. I have smiled for the better portion of my life. As a teenager, I was like very depressive. But once I got older, I realized life is short and I like to smile and I use humor to my advantage, both for myself and when engaging with others. I think you've noticed I try to add humor. I try to be funny when we chat. So that way, when you're watching my videos, you smile. And so as such, I now have kind of smile lines or creases under my eyes. I have a distinct crease underneath each eye, by the way. And there is nothing you can do to prevent it from creasing. You can prime it, you can set it. I do all of those things. You can go light coverage, you can go dark coverage. You can't help it. You're putting a liquid makeup in an area that folds, and it can't help but gather at least a little bit of product there. So in summary, let me just say this. If you have smiled repeatedly throughout your life and you've got some lines and creases and wrinkles and crepiness going on underneath your eyes, there's a pretty good chance your concealer is going to get stuck in any of those places. I find that it happens with both of them, both the Too Faced as well as the Tarte, and it's okay. About halfway through the day when I'm kind of checking my makeup and looking to see if I've got like broccoli in my teeth or something, I go like this. I just touch under my eyes, and that, for the most part, will kind of eradicate that creasing without removing makeup. So anyway, please don't, if you are anything close to my age, please don't be looking at these concealers to be crease-free. By the way, I think both of them in their description, I'm referencing my phone right now. I think both of them say that, the Shape Tape says, won't flake or crease. Does the Too Faced actually say that? Crease-free. Both of them claim that. I'm now both holding a grudge against both of them for those claims because there is at least some minor creasing when it comes to these concealers. Okay. Let's talk about coverage. I am wearing the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer. By the way, the official name of the Tarte one is the Contour Concealer. Does it have a longer name? Tarte's Double Duty Beauty Shape Tape Contour Concealer. So we have a sculpting concealer and a contour concealer. Actually, right before I talk about coverage, let's talk about the applicators because they're both large, but I don't know if they're exactly the same. Nope, Shape Tape is still quite a bit larger. I'm going to go right in front of my little lamp there. This is the Too Faced and this is the Shape Tape. Honestly, the reason I had to kind of investigate that right now is because I don't care. I typically will not be using concealer all over my face. I primarily use it underneath my eyes. Honestly, the Shape Tape one is a little bit too large for underneath my eyes. You can make it work, but I just kind of feel like I'm putting concealer just kind of everywhere initially. I don't really care. I mean, I guess if you do use concealer in that way, honestly, it doesn't matter. Like what? You can if you had a smaller doe foot applicator. Like think about the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer or the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer or the Catrice. I can't remember their entire name, but Catrice has a really nice tube applicator with a doe foot applicator casing. I mean, what? You can't conceal the rest of your face adequately unless you have like a ginormous doe foot applicator. Like, I don't care. You're just trying to be different. And I think, honestly, it just gets a little messier because that primarily we're using it underneath our eyes. Okay. Wow, I have a lot of soapboxes in this video today. Am I snarky today? I think I'm a little bit snarky. I think I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed at the fact that we're like I hear people talking about how we're trying to call them dupes, and I'm going to get to that in a second. And I'm like, okay, so they're the same thing. Like, who really cares at the end of the day? Because it's not a price comparison difference, but whatever. And also I'm annoyed at the crease-free claiming because I'm just like, okay, that is like so not true. And if you are in a position where you don't have any lines, then more power to you, but you should be smiling more, honestly. Okay, I need to get off. I need to get off of my soapboxes. But in that same vein, I feel like I'm keeping it real and I'm telling you kind of exactly what I think about this particular product. Okay, so now we've talked about the packaging, the price, the shades, and the claims. So let's talk about the coverage. I am wearing the Born This Way concealer. I have worn, in fact, that is a repeat buy. I mean, I have worn the Shape Tape quite a bit. So one of the major complaints with the Shape Tape was that it was a little bit too thick and a little bit too drying. And I get that. Many people report that they have dry under eyes. And if you don't address that, it can look like a little bit of texture and it can look a little crepey. So what Too Faced has tried to accomplish here was create a concealer that not only was full coverage, but also kind of hydrating and kind of almost a treatment for underneath your eyes. So what the Too Faced has in it is coconut water, alpine rose, and hyaluronic acid. All of those are major moisturizers. And I think that's great. Now, I don't personally have dry under eyes. I would have normal under eyes. I don't have oily under eyes, but I don't have normal. I think because I've always had combination skin, or back in the day it was oily skin. I think that area of my eyes then was not affected by being dry. That being said, because of the moisturizing agents in the Too Faced concealer, I don't think it's full coverage. I mean, I look at myself, and I've had this on now for a couple of hours. I'm seeing some, I mean, I don't know if the camera and the lights and such are kind of masking that a little bit, but that's not how I see other people. I'm not standing in front of a ring light and, you know, some light boxes and stuff. Like, I stand in front of normal people. And I don't have excessive dark circles under my eyes, but I do have dark circles under my eyes. And that is my intent when I wear concealer. Is not necessarily to brighten, but it is to actually conceal those dark circles and just kind of even out my skin tone. I think what's happening with the Too Faced is because it is intending to be a moisturizing agent as well, it cannot possibly accomplish full coverage. You can lay it on thick, which I don't really think that serves any purpose. But even if you were to do that, because I was playing around with the amount that I was applying, because when I saw it thin out a little bit, I was like, okay, did I just not apply enough? What's great is that it blends out and, you know, blends out so nicely and then goes back to its original kind of level of coverage. I really feel like this is not a full coverage concealer and that it is much more of a medium coverage concealer. That being said, the Tarte Shape Tape has the intent to be moisturizing because it has, I believe it has shea butter in it as well as mango seed butter. So when you think about butter, obviously that's kind of a thicker consistency sort of agent. And so I think that is also what makes the concealer itself feel a little bit thicker. And then anything that is thick, in order to maintain its thickness, in essence, might have a consequence of being a little bit drying. And I think that is the major difference between the two. I consider Shape Tape full coverage. I do not consider the Born This Way concealer to be a full coverage concealer in any way. Now, will I still... And so therefore, by the way, I do not consider them a dupe for each other. I think the only thing that's similar about them is their name. They're meant to be, you know, contouring and concealing and sculpting and all of that. And I'm like, the name alone does not make them the same. That might be where my snarkiness is coming from today. So the question is, will I keep it? Because I am notorious for not keeping things. If I don't like your product, I'm not spending my money on you. So, that being said, will I keep the Too Faced Born This Way concealer? I will. Because I think it's, for example, the one that I had pulled up was the Maybelline Age Rewind Eraser Dark Circles. Everybody loves this guy. I find this to be a very thin concealer. I find that it does minimal to no coverage for me. But maybe that has to do with the amount of dark circles that I have. I am Italian, and so I imagine some of that from that. I think that the Too Faced is like a step up from like the Maybelline Age Rewind. So, followed by Tarte Shape Tape. So if we were to make a train of coverage, this would be lightest, this would be medium, and then this would be the most coverage. So let me tell you how and when I use them. I will use the Maybelline Age Rewind like if I'm like going to the beach, or if I'm going to be out or like an amusement park, or I'm going to be out in the sun all day. And on those days when I'm not even wearing a foundation, where I'm just wearing like a BB or a CC cream, like the Cosmetic CC cream, oftentimes I will pair that with this because I feel like they match each other in intensity. Tarte Shape Tape I'm using when I'm using just kind of my normal full coverage, even though I'm using thin layers of full coverage foundation. When I use a full coverage foundation, I would reach for something like this, or the Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place concealer. Those guys I find match the intensity of the foundation that I'm wearing. And so then what to do with the Born This Way? I will use this guy when I'm just using a medium coverage foundation. Like for example, ironically, the Estee Lauder Double Wear foundation I find doesn't doesn't really give me a full coverage effect, the one that I'm looking for. And so I find that this matches that sort of foundation in intensity. So anything that's just like an easygoing foundation that isn't as light as a BB or a CC cream, but really isn't one of those major full coverage foundations, I think this guy works really nicely with that. Also, you got to consider the intensity of your under eye, your dark circles underneath your eyes. Regardless of what sort of foundation you're wearing, you can use any of these concealers provided you blend them out nicely. But if you're wearing a lighter foundation but need really extra coverage underneath your eyes, there's no reason that you couldn't use something that was heavier, and just making sure that you are blending it out. I do find, by the way, with all three of those concealers that they must be set, at least for me. I don't know how people get away with not setting underneath. I don't know how they get away with not setting their makeup. Because, like, when you touch it, it, like, moves. Unless you have really dry skin, I wouldn't know. But I do find that I set very lightly, very loosely, all of those concealers underneath my eyes. So, in a nutshell, I think you have a slightly better value when you buy the Too Faced as far as price-wise, because you do get a little bit more product for only a couple dollars more. I think if you have exceptionally dry under eyes, this would work really nicely for you because of those hydrating agents that are in there, whereas the Shape Tape can be very drying. Color-wise, like I said, favors a little bit yellow, favors a little bit more pink or neutral, but that doesn't mean you couldn't find your shade in either line. So keep that in mind. And like I said, coverage-wise, this is a really good coverage. This one is a full coverage. So that is my overall assessment right there. I hope that this video was informational and educational, because that's what I look like that's what I look for when I go on YouTube and I'm researching products. Like, I don't necessarily need to see you apply it. I want to know the details. I want to know what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it, how it compares to others. So that's kind of, when I do a review, that's the intent behind the information that I am providing to you. So if you found that helpful, please do give this video a thumbs up, and I guess share it. It's like, hi, how you doing today? Hey, I got a video I want to share with you. That sounds so interesting to me. But anyway, if you find that someone might benefit from the information I put together here for you, then share this video. That would be great. If you are one of my subscribers, thank you so much for your support of me and the G Crew. And if you are not one of my subscribers yet, I do invite you to do so and stick around just to see what else there is I'm going to put out there. Also, there is that notification bell. I actually like the bell, because, like I said, I am just a tiny little guy here, and I'm sure YouTube is not interested in letting you know when I do something. So when I do something, I'd like the bell to let you know. Okay, did I give you enough directives? It's like the video, subscribe, share it, and hit the notification bell. It's like you have a checklist every time we watch, myself included, when I watch other people's videos as well. Anyway, thank you so much for spending your time with me. Please leave me a comment down below whether or not what your well, actually, how about that? What is your favorite under eye concealer that you enjoy using? And if you have a couple of different categories, that would be great too. Definitely share with each other so that we can continue to kind of enlighten each other about what it is that's out there and what works best for us. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. I hope you have a good rest of the day, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. In the meantime, thanks.